I want to talk about that Project Veritas video. I am sorry that some of you who watched it are babies and can't handle the realities of how media companies operate, and that I merely tell the truth about the realities of making news. And with that being said, let's talk about ABC News and these bozos publishing a doctored video. At least that's what they would call it if any other media company did this. A doctored video of Syria.
This video, obtained by ABC News, appears to show the fury of the Turkish attack on the border town of Tel Aviv.
A border town bombarded by Turkey's military. This video right here appearing to show Turkey's military bombing Kurd civilians in a Syrian border town. The Kurds who fought alongside the U.S. against ISIS. Now, horrific reports of atrocities committed by Turkish-backed fighters on those very allies.
In this video, we see the Turkish forces advance upon Kurdish-controlled areas of Syria. And it doesn't look like Syria. This looks like America. This looks like the most American thing you've ever seen. In fact, well, by golly, it is America. It's Kentucky. This footage is not from Syria. It's from Knob Creek, Kentucky, at their annual gun show of all things. In fact, you can go on YouTube and watch what is essentially this footage every single year. So how, then, did it get on the air of ABC News? In fact, how did we wind up with their senior correspondent saying, and I quote, "This video, obtained by ABC News, appears to show the fury of the Turkish attack on the border town of Tel Aviv." Senior foreign correspondent Ian Pennell said that on ABC Nightly News. In fact, earlier that Sunday, ABC News anchor Tom Lamas also aired this footage, begging the question, why is ABC News running this video? And in fact, if you look at the actual video on YouTube of Knob Creek Hill in Kentucky, shown here, you can see an audience, a mighty American audience watching the gun show. But there's no audience in the clip ABC News shows. What can we make of this? There's really, in my mind, two probable scenarios of why ABC News is airing this doctored footage. In fact, I use doctored on purpose because I've made quite a few videos in my life. So I took a couple notes of how the video is different. One, the video is stabilized. The ABC News video that they showed is stabilized. It has some sort of contrast exposure filter on it that makes it seem much darker than in reality the original footage is. They cropped out, of course, the American spectators. They've cropped out the entire audience that you can see in the lower quadrant. And four, it seems to have this grain filter on it to make it seem more low quality, make it seem like it's really shot by some cell phone in Syria. That's the video. So two things. One, either some video editor in ABC News saw this footage of this Kentucky gun show, edited it in such a way that made it look like some sort of realistic battle scene, and then ran it all the way up the chain of command to the nightly news show. Not a single producer, a line editor, an executive producer, the host, and none of them thought, is this really footage? There was no checks. Somehow I was able to get this doctored fake news, was able to get all the way past everybody, every single editorial individual at ABC News, to where they're broadcasting it to millions of Americans and claiming it as if it's real footage from Syria. So either somebody at ABC News edited the video, which is pretty bad. That's pretty horrendous. But that could be one bad actor, then total incompetence along the way. Which, yikes. Or the opposite scenario, which I can imagine, is that there are a certain number of producer-editor individuals employed at ABC News to make quick viral videos, right? They find footage on Twitter, they find footage on Facebook, they're scanning around and they put on the little text on screen that you see on Twitter and Facebook. And these people often, when their videos get published on ABC News' digital platforms like Facebook, sometimes if it's newsworthy enough, it'll get promoted to like, hey, we should put this on our 6 o'clock show. We should put it on our nightly news show because this is a compelling piece of footage. And one of these producer editors working to make digital videos on Facebook or Twitter saw this piece of footage. Now, they might have been covering the, quote, Middle Eastern beat, the Syria beat. They might have been like, hey, we want you to focus. This was their job, is to focus on what kind of news is going on in the Syria-Turkey conflict. and they might have been following a Twitter account that had already doctored this video, and they decided not to fact check it at all. Somebody else had doctored the video to make it look like it was in Syria for whatever agenda or purpose, and the person at ABC News, this producer-editor, saw this footage on Twitter, took it at face value, thought, wow, it really is. Downloaded the video, ripped the video from Twitter. I definitely would place my money on this is what happened. This producer-editor saw this video on Twitter that somebody had doctored, did no fact-checking, took it at face value, downloaded the video off Twitter, put it with some text on the screen, they ran it on their digital platform, ABC News shows new stunning footage, and then caught the eye of another producer at one of the shows at ABC News, and they thought we should include this in our show. And then they got their foreign correspondent, Ian, or whoever is talking about the video, to commentate on it. And so, this shows the level of carnage already that Turkey has launched their offensive, when they know nothing of the sort, and it was not fact-checked all the way through. And so with our second possible scenario, you once again have a level of incompetence running all the way through, but with no malicious intent. It is merely the total lack of quality checks or any sort of journalism being practiced to make sure that the video they're showing is indeed actually true, but it wasn't. So either way, we have two levels of incompetence. We either have total incompetence or incompetence with some level of malice. And I don't think there was that level of malice purely because that level of malice would require somebody just really wanting to get their job torched. And my guess is, you never attribute to malice what you can attribute to incompetence. George Orwell said that famously. And I'm more inclined to believe that ABC News is just incompetent all the way through in this fact. And they revealed their hand, they revealed their utter incompetence with this video. And there's two follow-ups that I want to say to this. One, ABC News did retract the video when it was pointed out to them that, hey, this is a Kentucky gun show, you morons. They issued a Twitter correction and they pulled the video. But because it was on the nightly news show, your standard linear television,
This video, obtained by ABC News,
there was the next morning, today, there was no correction. No on-air correction saying like, hey, by the way, that footage we showed you guys last night about Syria, yeah, we blundered that. Totally fake news. In fact, we actually showed a doctored video that we kind of downloaded off Twitter. Whoops. No, they didn't issue a correction of that sort at all on their on-air broadcast, which arguably reaches the most amount of viewers or has the most likely impact to shape public opinion. Did they do that? No. And the second follow-up I want to add to this is that a New York Times reporter, Michael McIntyre, sounding a little bit like the British comedian, says to this ABC News video, defending, I guess, ABC News' practice here against other outlets that have doctored videos like InfoWars, when the media goes after InfoWars showing a fake news video. Michael McIntyre in the New York Times says, the difference between journalistic mistakes and fake news is, one, it actually is a mistake and not willful propaganda. Okay, so if the intent was just pure incompetence, that means it's not fake news? It's just a mistake? It can still be a mistake and fake news. You can still be publishing fake news. Two, he says it's acknowledged and corrected. Well, ABC News half acknowledged and corrected it. They acknowledge and correct it on Twitter, but heaven forbid they get on air and admit they massively blundered. Three, Michael McIntyre says, partisan opportunists seize on it anyway to claim bias. Well, here's what I would say about this. I don't think you need to be a partisan hack to seize on this video and say, ABC News blundered this bad. In fact, it unveils a level of incompetence all the way through their editorial system that honestly asks more questions than it answers. And that, as somebody working in media in New York City, it really makes me question what kind of operation they have going on at ABC News. And I don't think it's any sort of bias. They're not biased towards Syria or the Kurds or anti-Turkey. What bias it shows that they have, that ABC News has, the bias ABC News has is laziness. Journalistic laziness. That's the bias this video exposes at ABC News. Just my thoughts. Maybe I'm going too hard on ABC News, but it's these kind of things that actually, I think, warrant really other journalists calling out and not not just forming ranks against any sort of criticism, because journalists, like any other profession, has a tendency to close ranks around itself and protect itself against outside criticism. And when it's moments like these, when you have the ABC Nightly News up there standing talking about doctored videos that who knows where they got them from, that are categorically false and incorrect, and then not really apologizing for it, I think these are the types of videos that journalists really need to call out and be like, these are massive mistakes. It's my personal opinion. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment down below. Hopefully that explains why that occurred. Maybe it's not the answer you were hoping for, but yeah, never attribute to malice, which you can attribute to incompetence. Wise words by George Orwell. Thanks for watching. Click like or subscribe. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.